working mom or a stay-at-home mom? Do you ever address what happened with your ex? How did your interview go? Hi friends! So I was looking at my channel and I realized that I have been doing vlogs and week in my life videos for such a long amount of time now, and I really just wanted to do a video that wasn't one of those. I love doing vlogs, but I also feel like there are quite a few new viewers on this channel, which if you have joined, I'm so grateful for you. I know I did one of these Q&As kind of recently, another personal Q&A, but I wanted to do kind of another life update, what's going on in my mind kind of video, because it is my last semester of college, and I don't know, I feel like there's some new people on here, and so I just wanted to say hey. And if you are new, my name is Michelle Reed. I make college lifestyle videos and I have no idea what I'm doing with my life, and so if you don't either, feel free to subscribe and we can figure it out together. Also, let me know down below how you're doing. I feel like a lot of times I answer questions but I don't ask them, so let me know. How's your day going? I ask for questions on my Instagram because I'm pretty active on Instagram. I love Instagram stories and I also love talking to you guys on there and responding to DMs. Have you figured out whether you want to do YouTube as a career or something else? Yes, I'm pretty sure I've figured out. I've been applying for a lot of internships and jobs, both, because I would kind of prefer to do an internship over the summer and then go into a job after that. But for the first time in probably like 2 years, I feel super comfortable and at peace with where I am at my life. I feel like a lot of times I'm looking ahead like 10 years and just confused, like, do I do YouTube? Do I do a job? Like, what should I do? And I've come to the decision that I always want to do YouTube. It's definitely a safe spot for me. At the same time, for me personally, if my whole career is dependent on YouTube and Instagram, it can really mess with your mental health, just given, you know, your job kind of depends on how many people are watching you and how many people are following you. And while I love the people who watch my videos and I love my viewers, just for me personally, sometimes that messes with my head a little bit. And so for me, I would definitely prefer to have a job as well. But I would always be doing YouTube. I would always be vlogging. I would never ever stop doing that. I'm pretty certain that I want to do something else on the side. A lot of people have been asking what exactly I want to do. I've applied for a lot of different things in PR, things in social media, things in just digital communications, basically a lot of different things. I've learned a lot of things through doing YouTube, and so I'm kind of open. How is your mental health? I love this question. I'm actually doing a week in my life video that is all about mental health and how to have, you know, a good mindset and where you're at. And I honestly feel like I'm in such a good headspace lately. Yeah, I feel like I have been praying a lot more. I have been doing things that really do promote my mental health. That definitely has not always been the case. I have been through times, especially last semester, where that just was not where my headspace was, but I'm in a really good spot right now. How does your boyfriend support himself money-wise? My boyfriend has a job, and he also just got an internship for the spring and the summer, and so that is how he supports himself. I just think that was funny someone asked that. But do you plan on living alone after graduation, or do you plan on having roommates? I definitely plan on having roommates. I know in New York a lot of people have their own apartments, but it is really expensive, guys. If you look up the rents here, it is just insane. Even to have a roommate, it's like insane the amount that you pay in rent. I will always probably have roommates here. If I lived alone, I would have to live like pretty far out, and that's not really something that I want to do. I love where I live in the city, and so I would definitely have roommates. How is your insomnia? As you guys know, my last semester of college, I went through a really bad time of insomnia, and it's definitely getting better. It's not 100%. I still deal with nights where I don't sleep as well, or I just like can't fall asleep, but it is getting better. I promise I'm doing so much better than I did last semester. And yeah. How did your interview go? Thank you for asking. I actually, as you guys know, my last week of my life, I had like a video interview. Actually went great. It was a long process. Just decided that it wasn't the best fit for me personally, and so I actually didn't take it, but it was a really great learning experience and it went well, and I learned so much. And I think my biggest tip would be just to apply for a ton of different things that, you know, maybe you're not entirely sure if you want to do. Just apply for it anyways, because you learn so much through the interview process. The more you interview, the better you get. The best way to practice. Where do you see yourself in 10 years, working mom or a stay-at-home mom? I like this question because I have actually touched on this in a vlog, and I literally had to disable comments because I got so much backlash for my answer. And I want to say that either way, if I was working because I needed to support my kids and that was just like how it had to be, if I was living in New York City where it was expensive, then I would totally do that. I could have my own preference, and if God would allow it to be this way, I would like to stay home with my kids. I definitely want to have a lot of kids if I'm able to, and so my mom stayed home with us, and that was something that, you know, as a kid I appreciated. That was something that I just loved, being raised by my mom at home and not having like a nanny or having to go to daycare. daycare is also really expensive, and if I could afford to not pay for that, that would be really nice. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a controversial thing to say nowadays, and I know a lot of people be like, then why are you getting an education? That kind of thing. I still think you can get an education and want to stay home with your kids. I don't think those are different things. I feel like I would always be doing YouTube even if I had kids. If you guys know Sarah Therese, I love the way that she does her videos along with having kids. I think she balances it so well, and she doesn't put her kids in the limelight too much, and she doesn't expose her children. She keeps her life very private, but I love her content, and so she's kind of an inspiration for me. I think she's really cool. So that's my preference. That is nothing against people who choose to work while having kids. That is totally your preference, and that is totally okay. This is just for me personally. That's kind of my take on it. Was there a certain point that you knew Aiden was the one? So this is a very personal question, but there are like two distinct moments where early on in dating I knew that he was someone who I wanted to keep dating and pursue like a long-term relationship with. And since whenever we first started dating, there were so many nights where we would just spend like literally until 3 a.m. like out in Brooklyn Bridge Park, just like laying on the grass talking. That was something that we did all the time. We would talk about everything. I think that's one of the most fun things about dating someone for the first time. You just have so many things you don't know, and you get to learn so much, and it's just really cool. But he was asking me like, what's the one thing that I strive for in life, and like the one goal that I have for myself, specifically like after college. I honestly forgot what I answered at the time, but I asked him the same question. He said that something about wanting to be a really great father, and that was something that, I don't know, for someone who doesn't want to have a lot of kids, who really values family, that was like an answer that I was like, yes, this guy's got it going on. And then there was another time where we were at school, and I actually heard that my friend Rose was in the hospital for reasons, and Rose actually ended up having cancer for a year, and that's something she's very private about, but it was definitely one of those moments that was very scary for me and very scary for her specifically. And I remember it was only a couple months into dating, but I just did not want to go to this hospital by myself. I was really scared, and I remember just going up to him and being like, hey, is there any way you can just like drop what you're doing and like go to this hospital with me? And he's like, yes. And he literally went with me, and obviously I didn't want to bring him up to the room because Rose was going through a lot at the time, so he just stayed in the lobby for like 3 hours and just sat there, and he actually ended up getting pizza with Rose's dad. And it's just like one of those small stories that meant a lot for me personally, and something that I think speaks a lot to his character. What advice do you have for someone who wants to look more into Christianity? I honestly feel like two really good ways to get a sense of what Christianity is first just to hang out with other people who proclaim to be Christians. I definitely feel like you can notice someone's faith by how they live it out. Just surround yourself with people who are Christians and see like what it's about. Obviously, everyone is imperfect, everyone makes mistakes, but I do feel like you can learn a lot by just being around other Christians. And I also think you could try going to a church. There are so many different churches depending on what you particularly enjoy. So I would just recommend going on a Sunday and checking it out, and you can kind of see, you know, what the teachings are, what worship is like, and you can also be around other Christians as well. Would you ever address what happened with your ex? So I honestly feel like I haven't talked about this in a video, and that's because I don't really feel like it's necessary to talk about in a video. I definitely put my ex-boyfriend in my videos a lot more back in the day. I just think people kind of change and you go along different paths, and there are things that like happen that you don't necessarily want to talk about, and I think that's totally okay. I have no beef against that person. I have no beef. That was such a different time of my life. I feel like I was such a different person. But at the same time, I never regret relationships. I just feel like you were in that relationship for a certain reason at the time, and that's something that I'm really thankful for. I learned a lot, and I loved spending time with that person, and so yeah, I don't really think there's anything to address. What is your advice about boundaries in dating, physical, spiritual, emotional? I think boundaries are something that are kind of weird to talk about, honestly. I don't know, I feel like for physical boundaries, I'm not going to be like, I don't do this, and I don't do this, and I don't do this. I think they're very personal for each person. I'm sorry, the shadows are so bad. They're very personal for everybody, and so just be in communication with the person that you're dating if you're talking about dating boundaries. There are actually books that I've been wanting to read. I think they're literally called like Boundaries, and they're more about learning how to say no, and that's a book that I want to read. So if you have read that book before, definitely let me know. I know it sounds kind of cheesy just to be like pray about it, but I feel like if you do pray about it, you will learn a lot. I got a lot of questions about if I want to marry my boyfriend Aiden. I got so many questions about that, and I definitely due. I got a lot of questions about when. Obviously, I don't know for sure, but I would definitely like to get married within the next 2 to 3 years. I think those are all the questions I'm going to answer because it is literally so bright outside and I've got some real funky shadows on my face. And so if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely let me know. I'm filming a week in my life video this week, so definitely stay tuned for that. I love you guys so much from the bottom of my heart, and I hope you all have a great day. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, friends.